Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into a period, well, a lot of you might be right in the middle of it, or maybe you remember it pretty vividly, emerging adulthood.
That's right.
We've got this really interesting excerpt from a lecture that gets into what's physically happening with you between, say, 18 and 25. You know, that time when you're kind of figuring things out. Not quite a teen anymore, but maybe not feeling like a fully settled adult either.
Yeah.
So our goal today is to really explore the biosocial side, specifically the physical stuff going on during these years.
Exactly. And it's important because often the focus is all on the big life changes,
Yeah.
relationships, jobs, identity.
Right.
But underneath all that, there's this biological engine just humming away. We want to unpack what it means that in a lot of ways you're actually in your physical prime right now.
Okay, let's get into it then. Our source starts off saying that generally, emerging adults are in pretty good health.
Typically very strong.
It's kind of wild to think, though, that historically, this age group, peak time for really hard physical work, starting families young,
Oh, absolutely.
it's just worlds away from what a lot of people are doing now in the 21st century.
It really is a massive shift in societal expectations, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most young adults today aren't doing backbreaking labor day in, day out, or, raising several young kids in their early 20s.
Definitely not.
But biologically, your body still has a lot of that sort of underlying capacity, even if society isn't demanding you use it in the same way.
And physically, like even if you stop growing taller, the source says girls usually hit full height by 16, boys maybe 18, thanks to better food usually.
Right. Food availability plays a big role there.
There's still other development happening, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. Big time. Muscle growth actually keeps going, and where body fat settles changes well into the early 20s.
Huh.
So for women, this is often when they reach their adult breast and hip size. And for men, you often see that full shoulder width developing, more upper arm strength.
Ah, okay.
It's really a time of, like, solidifying that adult physique. So, those hours at the gym, they can really show results during this period.
Good to keep in mind. And
Yeah.
Reassuringly, the lecture notes that death from disease is actually pretty rare during this time.
Very rare, yeah.
So physically, your body's generally quite resilient right now. What's the best way to kind of support that?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think just understanding that your body has this built-in strength right now can be empowering.
Right.
It helps you make choices that hopefully maintain it for the long haul. Think of it like you're laying down a foundation.
A foundation. Okay. Now, let's talk about something probably on a lot of people's minds, appearance.
Always a factor.
The source mentions that most emerging adults look, vital and attractive. And while maybe people don't always admit it, there's definitely a focus on how you look.
Well, yeah. And what's interesting is how this focus kind of connects to everything else going on in your life.
Not so.
Think about the interest in fashion, celebrity culture, the money people spend on clothes, and even why many people exercise. Often, let's be honest, a big driver is wanting to look fit and attractive, right?
It's so true. You see it everywhere. The trends, social media pressure,
Totally.
and the lecture even hints these appearance concerns might link up with things like, well, sex drive and maybe even trying to get a job.
Exactly.
It really makes you wonder about the deeper reasons behind it all.
And that brings up a good point. Is it just social pressure? Or are there deeper biological, maybe evolutionary things at play? I mean, the connection to attraction and sex drive seems pretty fundamental. And thinking about the professional world, well, we know that in many jobs, how you present yourself physically can give you an edge, whether we like to admit it or not.
That's a tricky one. Okay, so physically, emerging adulthood seems like a pretty strong period.
Generally, yes.
But then the source throws in this interesting question. Is this whole idea of emerging adulthood as its own specific life stage actually real for everyone, everywhere?
Right.
Or is it more of a cultural thing?
Yes, the universality debate. It's a big one in psychology.
Right.
You had researchers like Arnett arguing back in 2000 that, yes, it's a distinct developmental stage, a specific time.
Okay.
But the lecture also points out maybe there isn't a huge amount of research that definitively proves it's the same experience across every single culture.
And then there's the flip side. Maybe it is more cultural, like Munson and others suggested. The idea being maybe this long period of figuring things out before settling down is more common in certain kinds of societies.
Precisely. The source even brings up the weird critique.
Weird.
Yeah, meaning a lot of psychology research has focused heavily on people from Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic societies.
Ah, okay. I've heard of that.
So it makes you wonder, how well do these findings really apply to everyone globally? Young people have such diverse experiences.
But then, the lecture also says there's evidence suggesting it's a worldwide trend, citing some data. So seems like arguments on both sides.
It does. It's not settled. It really pushes you to think about your own situation, the society you live in, and how those factors might be shaping this stage for you.
Yeah, definitely.
It just highlights how our biology and our culture are constantly sort of interacting and influencing how we develop.
Okay, let's dive into how your body, this amazing body, protects itself during these years. The source mentions organ reserve. What exactly is that?
Organ reserve is, well, think of it like having extra horsepower in your vital organs, your heart, lungs, kidneys.
Okay.
It's the difference between what they normally need to do their job and their absolute maximum capacity. It's like a built-in buffer zone.
A buffer.
Yeah, it helps your body cope with stress or illness or sudden demands. So when things get tough, your body has a bit of extra juice to draw on.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So if you're pushing hard or not sleeping well, there's this backup power.
Kind of, yeah. And then you have homeostasis.
Homeostasis. Heard that one before.
Right. That's your body's way of keeping things stable internally, but more in the short term. It's the quick, immediate adjustments.
Like what?
Like keeping your temperature right, your blood pressure steady, blood sugar in range. The lecture gives a great example. Sleep too little one night, you feel tired the next day.
Yeah, definitely felt that.
That's your body trying to signal, hey, get back into balance. It's that immediate correction mechanism.
Got it. Quick fixes.
Yeah.
But then there's allostasis, which sounds similar, but different time scale.
Exactly. That's what's interesting. Allostasis is also about stability, but it's a longer-term thing, more dynamic.
So.
Instead of just reacting instantly, like homeostasis, allostasis is your body kind of anticipating and adapting to ongoing, repeated stressors. It's like your body adjusting its baseline settings over time because it expects certain demands.
Okay, so homeostasis is the thermostat adjusting minute to minute. And allostasis is like recalibrating the whole heating system for the winter.
That's a pretty good analogy, actually. Yeah, it's a longer-term adaptation.
And this all connects to allostatic load, which doesn't sound good.
No, it's not something you want a lot of. Allostatic load is basically the wear and tear that builds up on your body from chronic stress. It's the cost of your body constantly having to adapt and readapt through allostasis over long periods. Think of stretching a rubber band over and over. Eventually gets worn out.
Right. Loses its snap.
That's kind of like allostatic load on your body, the long-term cost of being out of balance too often.
So these three, organ reserve, homeostasis, allostasis, they're all working together pretty well during emerging adulthood, usually.
Generally, yes, that's the good news. In young adults, these systems tend to be efficient. You've got good organ reserve, homeostasis is usually quick, allostatic responses are effective.
Okay.
However, and this is really crucial for listeners to get the health habits you set up now, they have a direct impact on how well these systems keep working as you get older.
The long game.
Absolutely. Years of, say, bad sleep or constant high stress that can chip away at your organ reserve and increase your allostatic load down the road.
So the choices you're making in your early 20s really echo later on, and the source mentions senescence. That increases allostatic load as we age.
That's right. Senescence is just the gradual physical decline of aging. It naturally puts more strain on the body, makes it harder to maintain that balance, and yeah, increases that cumulative wear and tear of the allostatic load.
Okay, so how do emerging adults keep these amazing body systems humming along? The source talks about activity levels.
Yes, and the stats are interesting. It looks like about 62% of emerging adults meet the standard for aerobic exercise, like running or swimming.
That sounds okay. Pretty good.
It's not bad, but only about 33% are meeting the goal for muscle strengthening exercise, things like lifting weights or resistance training.
Oh, that's quite a bit lower. Why the gap, do you think?
Hard to say for sure from just this, but the lecture does note that things like friendships and being part of active communities really encourage exercise.
The social factor.
Yeah. It makes you think, right? Are your friends active? Do you have access to teams or clubs or even just a gym buddy? That social support can make a huge difference.
Definitely. Okay, what about nutrition? Obviously huge. The source says diet impacts development throughout life, and it brings up set point. What's that about?
Set point is basically the idea that your body has a sort of preferred weight range it tries to maintain.
Like a thermostat for weight.
Kind of, yeah. It's influenced by your genes, your metabolism, lifestyle, and your body has mechanisms to try and keep you hovering around that point.
And then there's BMI, body mass index. We hear that all the time.
Right. Just a simple calculation weight relative to height, used as a general screening tool for weight categories.
But the lecture says the details of diet really matter, right? It mentions the Cardia study. What did that find that's relevant here?
Well, a Cardia study highlighted that it's not just about weight. Things like eating a lot of fast food, having a diet high in unhealthy fats, even drinking diet soda.
Soda too.
Yeah, each of those things was linked to negative health outcomes, like on blood pressure or cholesterol, separate from just causing weight gain.
Wow. So it's not just calories, it's the quality of what you eat.
Exactly. It really underscores why making informed, healthy food choices is so important during this time for long-term health.
Makes sense. Now, unfortunately, emerging adulthood also seems to be a time when some people are more vulnerable to eating disorders. The source calls it a critical risk period.
Yes, sadly that's true. And it outlines the main types to be aware of. There's anorexia nervosa.
That's the one with severe restriction.
Right. Distorted body image, intense fear of gaining weight, restricting calories drastically. Then there's bulimia nervosa, cycles of binge eating followed by purging or other compensatory behaviors.
Okay.
And also binge eating disorder, which involves compulsive overeating, eating large amounts, but without the purging behaviors seen in bulimia.
Gotcha.
Just really crucial to be aware these can emerge or worsen during this stage for yourself or maybe friends you're concerned about.
Absolutely. Important awareness. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Sexuality and reproduction. The source says this is a time of peak vigor for the sexual reproductive system.
Driven by high levels of sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen. These hormones are firing on all cylinders, basically.
And that affects more than just reproduction.
Right, yeah. They influence energy, mood, overall vitality. But specifically for reproduction, yeah. Sex drive is generally strong. Infertility is relatively rare compared to later ages.
Okay.
Orgasm tends to be frequent, and for women in their early 20s, pregnancy and childbirth usually come with fewer medical complications.
It's interesting that, isn't it? Biologically, it's prime time.
Right.
But socially, many emerging adults delay having kids until their late 20s or 30s. Big disconnect there.
A very key observation. Biology and social norms aren't always aligned. And the lecture also touches on that persistent issue, the sexual double standard.
Yeah. The idea that historically and maybe still today, young men's sexual activity is often viewed differently, maybe more leniently, than young women's.
Exactly. Still a factor in many places.
Which leads us to some really critical sexual health points. The source mentions STIs, sexually transmitted infections. Rates are at epidemic levels.
Yes, that's the language used. And a really striking stat, half of all new STI cases worldwide happen in people under 26.
Wow, half. That's directly relevant to this age group.
Hugely relevant. And the source kind of contrasts the ideal prevention, lifelong monogamy with someone uninfected.
Right.
With the common reality for many emerging adults, which is more like serial monogamy. You know, a series of exclusive relationships, but not lifelong ones.
Yeah, that's definitely common. And globalization. That plays a role in spreading things like HIV/AIDS.
It does. Increased travel and interconnectedness means diseases can spread faster and wider, unfortunately.
Makes sense. Now, what about birth patterns? Big shifts there, too, right?
Massive shifts. Historically, most babies born to women under 25, people married earlier, had more kids today. Much more common to have premarital sex, but with contraception being widely available and generally used.
So contraception is key. Lower birth rates, but maybe more sexual activity overall.
That seems to be the global trend, yes. Fewer babies among emerging adults compared to the past, but likely more sexual activity happening.
And on contraception, the source highlights the most effective kinds, like implants and IUDs.
The automatic, long-acting methods, they have incredibly low failure rates because there's less room for user error, but they do require planning and seeing a doctor.
All really important stuff for young adults to know about navigating their sexual health.
Absolutely vital information.
Okay, another defining thing about emerging adulthood seems to be, well, taking more risks.
Yes, risk-taking. Definitely a hallmark of this period. The lecture points out that some risk-taking isn't necessarily bad or pathological.
Like what kind of risk?
Well, positive risks. Like enrolling in college, that's a risk. Trying out for a sports team, volunteering for something new, those can lead to growth.
True, stepping outside your comfort zone. But there's a darker side too, right?
Definitely. The source brings up some sobering facts. Accidents, homicides, and suicides are leading causes of death for people aged 15 to 25.
That's rough.
Yeah. And there's this noticeable spike, they call it an accident hump, right around age 20.
An accident hump? Wow.
And tragically, emerging adult males are hit particularly hard. They show up more often as both perpetrators and victims of homicide.
That's really concerning.
It's a stark reminder of the dangers that can come with this increased willingness to take risks. Even things like extreme sports, which attract a lot of emerging adults.
Now you see that a lot.
They obviously carry risks. The bottom line statistically is that emerging adults have more serious accidents than any other age group, period.
Something to be really mindful of. Finally, let's touch on drug use. The source defines drug abuse pretty clearly. Dependence, needing more when it's gone.
Right, that compulsive drive.
And interestingly, it says illegal drug use tends to peak around age 20 and then declines. Right in this emerging adulthood window.
It's a significant pattern. Use often ramps up in the late teens, peaks around 20, 21, and then generally starts to taper off for many people.
Why does it decline after that, do you think?
Well, the lecture notes that while quitting any addiction is always hard, it tends to become somewhat easier after emerging adulthood.
Easier? Why?
It might be tied to continued brain development, maturing judgment, but also big changes in social roles. You know, settling into careers, serious relationships, maybe having kids. Those responsibilities often shift priorities away from heavy drug use for many.
Right, life changes. It makes you think about maybe seeing those shifts in your own friends as people move through their 20s.
Exactly. It reflects that transition further into adult roles.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we've really covered a lot about the biosocial side of emerging adulthood, focusing on the physical aspects between 18 and 25.
Yeah.
We've seen you're generally at a physical peak, strong protective body systems.
Right, lots of resilience.
But also that it's a really crucial time for choices. Health habits, sexual health, risk-taking. They all have immediate and long-term effects.
Absolutely. It's this unique mix, isn't it? Peak biological capability right alongside navigating new freedoms and making really complex decisions.
Yeah.
That interplay between your biology and your environment, your choices, it's incredibly powerful during these years. Understanding that hopefully empowers people to make the most of it.
And that really leads perfectly into our final thought for you listening. Knowing that this is a time of peak physical ability, but also maybe a higher tendency towards risk. How can you best navigate these years? How do you build that solid foundation for a healthy, fulfilling adult life while also, being smart about the potential dangers?
That's the challenge and the opportunity right there.
Definitely something to chew on as you go about your day. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.